Hey guys, tonight we are stepping back in time. Not into a battle or a king's court, but into a quiet, lamplit room in 19th century Kyoto. We are going to experience one of the most serene, intricate, and frankly, demanding beauty rituals ever conceived, the complete makeup transformation of a geisha. This isn't your 5-minute concealer and mascara job before a Zoom call. This is a meditative, multi-hour process that turns a person into a living work of art. And trust me, you'd probably be fired for being late to your own debut. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. It truly helps the channel find other people like you, who enjoy drifting off to the past. And while you're at it, let me know in the comments what city you're listening from, and what time it is for you. I love seeing how far these stories travel. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The first thing you notice is the cold. Not a harsh, biting cold, but a deep, still cold that has settled into the very bones of the house overnight. It seeps up from the tatami mats beneath your futon, a gentle but persistent reminder that the sun is still hours away from gracing the rooftops of joy. There are no clocks chiming, no roosters crowing just yet. Your world is marked by a different kind of time, a time measured in shadow and ritual. You slide out from beneath the thick quilt, your movements slow and deliberate, practiced into a silent grace. You are a Maiko, an apprentice, and in this world, every movement has a purpose. There is no room for clumsiness. You fold your bedding with a crispness that belies the sleepy ache in your bones, placing it neatly into the closet. The room is Spartan, shared with 2 other girls who are still breathing softly in the darkness. The only light is a pale, milky gray filtering through the paper of the shoji screens, turning the room into a soft focus painting of shadows and shapes. This house, this okiya, is your entire world. This is a core piece of the life you've chosen, or perhaps the life that was chosen for you. The okiya, or geisha house, is not just a dormitory. It's a school, a family unit, and a business, all presided over by the formidable woman you call Oka-zan, the mother of the house. She owns your kimonos, pays for your lessons in dance and music, and manages your budding career. You are her investment, and your success is her success. As you step out of the room, your bare feet make no sound on the dark, polished wood floors. The air in the hallway tastes of old cedar, incense, and the faint, clean scent of rice bran. That's a little detail you might not think about. The floors are buffed to a high shine not with wax, but with cloth bags filled with rice bran, or nuka. It's a quiet, rhythmic dance, usually performed by the newest girls in the house, and its smell is the constant, underlying perfume of your home. It's the scent of discipline. You are heading towards the washing area, a cold stone basin where the day truly begins. And as you walk through the silent corridors, past the closed doors of the senior geisha, your older sisters, you feel the weight of the day ahead. It's not a bad weight. It's a weight of purpose. Today, you will spend hours in lessons, practicing the shamisen until your fingers are calloused, rehearsing a dance until every turn is fluid, every flick of the fan is precise. And tonight, you will attend a banquet, an aze shiki, where you will forsake, laugh at the jokes of wealthy patrons, and perform the arts you so painstakingly learned. But none of that can happen until the transformation is complete. The face you wear now, your own tired, teenage face, is not the one the world will see. You are about to put on a mask. A beautiful, intricate, and symbolic mask that will signal your status, your art, and your place in this floating world. Historians and scholars still debate the realities of this life. For some, it was one of the few paths for a woman to achieve economic independence and artistic renown in a rigidly patriarchal society. For others, It was a form of indentured servitude, a life of debt and obligation masked in silken powder. For you, standing here in the pre-dawn chill, the academic arguments are meaningless. This is simply your reality. It is the path you are on, and today's first step is a quiet, personal decision to continue walking it. It's a silent recommitment, made every single morning in the dark. You reach the preparation area. It's a small space, set apart for this very purpose. A low, lacquered table sits before a polished bronze mirror, which gleams faintly in the gloom. On the table, an array of pots, brushes, and small porcelain containers are laid out, waiting. This is your battlefield and your canvas. You kneel on the but cushion. Take a slow, deep breath to steady your hands, and gaze at the stranger in the mirror who is about to disappear for the next 18 hours. The bronze mirror reflects a ghost. It's you, but distorted, elongated by the polished, imperfect surface. Your face is a pale oval in the gloom. For a long moment, the only sound is your own breathing. Then, a whisper of movement from behind you. A shoji screen slides open with a soft, artist and a figure steps into the space. You don't need to turn around to know who it is. You can feel her presence, a quiet authority that instantly changes the atmosphere in the room. She is your Isehan, your designated older sister. Her name is Chikuyo, and she is a full-fledged geisha, or geiko as they are called in the Kyoto dialect. She is everything you aspire to be, poised, sought after, and impossibly graceful. She doesn't speak. She simply kneels behind you, her posture perfect, a silent observer. Her scent, a subtle and expensive blend of sandalwood and blossoms, gently displaces the colder, cleaner smells of the house. It's the scent of the tea houses, of success. This relationship, the one S in a Mount-OS and bond, is the absolute bedrock of your world. When you were formally accepted as a Maiko, you and Kyoto took part in a ceremony called Sansan-Kudo, the same ritual used in weddings, where you exchanged sake cups. This bound you together. She is now your mentor, your guide, your sponsor. She will teach you the things that cannot be learned in a formal lesson, how to navigate the complex social politics of the Hanamaki, the geisha district, which clients are kind, which to be wary of, and how to make conversation seem effortless and witty. Your triumphs are a credit to her teaching. Your failures are her embarrassment. It's a system of lineage, an apprenticeship that ensures the ardent. Just as importantly, the clientele are passed down from one generation to the next. Her reflection appears next to yours in the bronze mirror. Her own face is bare, free of the white mask she will wear tonight. In the dim light, you can see the faint tiredness around her eyes, a reminder that she returned from her own engagements very late. Yet, she is here, for you. Her role is not to do your makeup for you. That is a skill you must master yourself, but to watch, and to correct. You reach for the first pot, but your hand hesitates. Her voice, when it comes, is soft but firm. Not the language you grew up with, but the specific, polite, and slightly archaic Kyoto dialect, the Kyoto Beni, that you are required to learn. It's full of soft vowels and indirect phrases, another layer of the performance. Your back is curved. I owe you too, she says gently. Little sister. You immediately straighten your spine, feeling a flush of shame. Every detail matters. The process of applying the makeup is as much a part of the art as the final result. It is a meditation, a display of control and grace, and it begins with posture. She watches you for a moment longer. The silence isn't empty. It's filled with her exacting standards. The nature of this sisterly bond is something historians still puzzle over. Was it a calculated business partnership? A clever way to ensure a new girl was properly integrated into the high-stakes social and economic web of the Hanamaki? Or was it a genuine or oral connection, a found family for young women living far from home, navigating a world with incredibly rigid rules. Accounts from former geisha vary wildly. Some describe their older sisters with deep love and gratitude as the most important relationship of their lives. Others recall them as strict, demanding, and sometimes jealous supervisors. For you and Chiko, the truth is likely somewhere in between. A complex mix of professional necessity, shared experience, and a fragile, emerging affection. Her gaze in the mirror softens slightly. She sees your nervousness. She reaches forward, her long, elegant fingers brushing past your ear to tap a small, flat, porcelain pot on the lacquered tray. Start with the Beni, she murmurs, and not too much. You used too much last week. Remember how it felt by the end of the night. You nod, remembering. The sticky, heavy feeling, the makeup seeming to slide on your skin as the hours wore on under the heat of the lamps in the crowded rooms. It's a strange, fascinating, and somewhat unglamorous little detail of this process. The foundation for this iconic look is essentially a wax. It's a thick, pomade-like substance, a mixture of oil and wax that is warmed slightly by your fingers before being applied. Its only purpose is to act as an adhesive, a grippy base for the heavy white powder to cling to. Think of it as the most intense makeup primer ever invented. It's also, as you know from experience, not great for your pores. But clear pores are not the goal here. A flawless, porcelain canvas is the goal. You dip the fingers into the pot of Beni, the wax tacky against your skin. Under Kikuyo's watchful eye, you begin to warm it between your hands. The ritual has begun. Your older sister, the living embodiment of the tradition, is your silent guide. The bronze mirror reflects the two of you, a master and an apprentice, a past and a future, bound together in the quiet, cold morning, about to paint a memory onto your skin. Before your fingers even touch your face, you pause. You place your hands, now slick with the warmed Beni, on your knees. You close your eyes. Your older sister, Chiko, remains silent behind you, but you can feel her approval. This is the part of the ritual that no one else sees, the step that isn't about powders or paints. It's about finding the stillness inside. You take a slow, deep breath in, letting the cool air fill your lungs. You hold it for a moment, and then you exhale just as slowly, consciously releasing the lingering sleepiness from your body and the anxieties about the night to come. This is not just about calming your nerves. It's a practical necessity. The application of geisha makeup, the Oshiroi makeup, is an act of extreme precision. Your hand must be as steady as a surgeon's. The lines you will draw on your eyes and lips must be unwavering. The smooth, even coat of white must be flawless, without streaks or patches. A single tremor, a moment of distraction, can ruin the entire canvas, forcing you to wipe it all off and start again. A disaster when time is measured in grains of rice and your schedule is unforgiving. So you breathe. You focus. This entire process is a form of moving meditation, a concept deeply woven into Japanese arts, from the tea ceremony, Chen-o-yu, to calligraphy, S-H-O-do. The goal is to achieve mashin, a state of no mind, where your body moves with practiced, intuitive grace without the interference of conscious thought or ego. You are not doing makeup. You are allowing the makeup to be done through you. It sounds lofty, but in this quiet room, it feels profoundly real. You are emptying yourself to become a vessel for a tradition that is centuries old. The mirror in front of you is not a modern, perfect glass mirror. It's a disc of polished bronze, or maybe even steel, set in a dark wooden frame. It doesn't give you a perfectly crisp, high-definition reflection. Instead, the image it offers is softer, warmer, with a slightly distorted, ethereal quality. It's a curious piece of history that this iconic face was created not by looking at a crystal-clear reflection, but into a dreamy, burnished surface. Perhaps it helped. It forced you to rely more on feel and muscle memory than on precise visual feedback. You are painting a feeling, an ideal, not just replicating an image. You focus on the sensation of the ZA but on cushion beneath you, the grain of the wood under your palms. You listen to the house waking up around you, the soft sweeping sound from downstairs, the distant clatter of a pot in the kitchen. These sounds don't distract you. They anchor you. They are the gentle, rhythmic pulse of your world. Keiko's voice is a low murmur. Think of your face as a gift you are wrapping. She says, it's one of her favorite metaphors. The wrapping must be perfect, not for your own vanity, but out of respect for the one who will receive it. The one who will receive it is, of course, the client. But the concept is broader than that. It's about respecting the art form, the tea house that will host you, the mother of your ukiya, and the entire lineage of women who have performed this ritual before you. Your face is not your own. For the next several hours, it will belong to the tradition. Academics sometimes debate the psychological impact of this transformation. Does this ritualistic erasing of the self, this daily application of a mask, lead to a fractured sense of identity? Or does it, paradoxically, strengthen the inner self by creating a clear, protective boundary between the public performer and the private individual? You milling here, don't think in those terms. You just know that when you are a chica, the Maiko, you are safe. Your own girlish insecurities, your fears, your private thoughts, they are hidden behind the white paint. The mask is your armor. It allows you to perform, to be charming, to be the perfect embodiment of art, because it is not you they are judging. They are judging the image. With a final, centering breath, you open your eyes. The ghost in the mirror looks back at you, calm and ready. Your hands are steady now. The sleep is gone. The anxiety has receded into a manageable hum. You are present. You are ready to begin the physical act of painting. Your mind is quiet. Your intention is clear. The meditation is over, and the artistry can now commence. You are no longer a tired girl in a cold room. You are an apprentice artisan at her workbench. Your focus now shifts to the low, lacquered table in front of you. This isn't just a random assortment of cosmetics. It's a curated set of tools, each with its own history and purpose. You reach for your QAI baka, your makeup box. It's not large or ostentatious. It's a simple, elegant box of dark wood, perhaps with a delicate mother-of-pearl inlay of a cherry blossom or a crane. The things inside are your treasures, your instruments. Opening it feels like a secret ceremony every single time. The first thing you touch is the brushes. They aren't like modern makeup brushes, mass-produced with synthetic bristles. Yours are artisan-made, with handles of bamboo or dark wood, and bristles of badger or goat hair. They are tightened set by hand. There's a wide, flat brush, handhake, that looks almost like a small paintbrush from an artist's studio. This will be for applying the broad, even layers of the white foundation. There's a much finer, pointed brush for the delicate lines around your eyes and lips, each tip no thicker than a needle. Taking care of these brushes is a ritual in itself. They must be cleaned meticulously after each use and stored so the bristles keep their shape. They are expensive, and a good set is meant to last for years, becoming an extension of your own hand. Next to the brushes are the pots and containers. They are mostly porcelain, cool and smooth to the touch. When small, round pot with a lid contains the sticky Bentusky rojo wax you've already begun to use. Another, the shallow, saucer-like dish, is for mixing the white powder. Then there are the colors. The black, or sumi, is not a liquid liner from a tube. It comes as a solid stick of charcoal, much like an ink stick used for calligraphy. You will have to grind it with a bit of water on an inkstone to create the liquid pigment for your eyeliner. This is a direct link to the world of painting and writing, a reminder that you are literally painting a picture on your face. The red, the Beni, is the most mysterious and precious of all. It's housed in a small, ornate porcelain or oyster shell bowl. Looking inside, you don't see red. You see a shimmering, iridescent, greenish-black substance coating the inside of the bowl. This is Komachi Beni, a highly prized cosmetic made from the petals of the safflower, Beni Bona. It's a bit of natural magic. The extract is painted in layers inside the bowl, and when you touch it with a wet brush, the iridescent film dissolves into a brilliant, vivid red. It's incredibly expensive. A single bowl could cost a small fortune, and its quality is a subtle status symbol. This is a far cry from a modern makeup bag filled with plastics and powders. Every item on your tray feels connected to the earth, wood, animal hair, minerals, flowers, and charcoal. This is one of those cool, little-known facts about the process. While we see the end result as highly artificial, the tools and ingredients were, for the most part, derived from natural sources. There's an organic, artisanal quality to the whole affair. Your older sister, Chiko Yell, points a slender finger at the white powder. Remember, she says softly, the consistency of fresh cream. Not water, not paste. The white powder itself, the iconic Oshiroi, comes as a hard, chalky cake or a loose powder. Originally, it was made from rice powder, which was harmless but didn't provide the same brilliant, opaque coverage. But by the Edo period, which heavily influences your 19th century routine, a new ingredient became popular for its superior cosmetic properties, white lead. You, of course, don't think of it as lead. You just know it as the best Oshiroi, the one that creates the smoothest, most oil-like finish. As you prepare to mix it, it's impossible to ignore the debate that surrounds these very materials. Modern historians and scientists look at this makeup kit and see a collection of potential hazards. The lead, obviously, is a well-documented neurotoxin. But even the other elements were not without their issues. Some pigments could cause skin irritation. The heavy wax base could lead to breakouts and other dermatological problems. There is a running argument among scholars. How aware were the geisha and their handlers of these dangers? Did they associate the chronic health problems, scarring damage, nerve issues, stomach ailments, with the very makeup that defined their profession? Or were these ailments simply accepted as a part of life, their cause unknown? You, of course, are not thinking about long-term neurotoxicity. You are a young woman focused on the immediate task. You are thinking about TQYOS standards. You are thinking about the client who will pay a great deal of money for your time tonight. You are thinking about creating beauty, about upholding a tradition. You pick up the mixing dish and the hard cake of Oshiroi. Your initiation into the mysteries of these little pots and brushes is complete. Now the alchemy begins. With Kaiku-Ios silent presence as your guide, you begin the first truly transformative step. You take a small amount of the taki, translucent Pentascirocha on your fingertips. It's been warmed slightly by your own body heat, making it more pliable. This is the moment of commitment. Once this goes on, there's no turning back without a full, oily cleanup. You start by applying the wax to your face in a thin, even layer. The sensation is strange. It's heavy, slightly sticky, and immediately makes your skin feel like it can't breathe. It's not a pleasant feeling, like a modern, lightweight moisturizer. It's purely functional. You press it gently into your skin, covering your entire face, your eyelids, your neck, and even the tops of your shoulders and your upper back. This is your canvas, and it needs to be primed thoroughly. You have to work quickly before the wax starts to set and becomes difficult to spread. This substance, this makeup primer of the 19th century, is one of the unsung heroes, or villains, depending on your perspective, of the geisha's look. Its primary purpose is to give the water-based Oshiroi something to cling to. Without it, the white powder would streak, flick out, or be absorbed unevenly into the skin. The wax creates a waterproof, non-porous barrier between your skin and the makeup. As you smooth it over your skin, you also use it to flatten your eyebrows. You press the hairs down, smoothing them into a flat, waxy line against your skin, effectively making them disappear. Your own eyebrows are not part of the final picture. The new, idealized set will be painted on later, higher on your forehead. This act of erasing a key facial feature is one of the first, and most startling, steps in creating the mask. Your face is already starting to look less like your own. This waxy pomade is also used on the hair. In fact, that was its primary and original use. Bentusquirocha is a type of Japanese pomade that has been used for centuries to style the complex, sculptural hairstyles of both men and women, particularly samurai and, of course, Geisha. A Maiko like you often uses her own hair, intricately styled with pads and ribbons, rather than a full wig like a senior geisha. This pomade is what holds those elaborate creations in place, giving them their characteristic sheen and structure, and keeping every single hair exactly where it should be. The fact that it's also used on the face is a bit of cosmetic improvisation, a testament to finding practical uses for the materials at hand. So here you are, slathered in what is essentially hair wax. It feels exactly as you'd imagine, thick, slightly greasy, and occlusive. You can feel your pores collectively waving a tiny white flag of surrender. This is a fascinating but little discussed aspect of historical beauty routines, the sheer discomfort that was often involved. We tend to romanticize the past, but the reality often involved heavy, irritating, and sometimes downright bizarre-feeling materials. There were no lightweight, raisable, hypoglaringly formulas. Beauty was often a trade-off with comfort. Kikoyo leans forward slightly, her reflection appearing beside yours in the bronze mirror. She examines your work, her eyes scanning for any uneven patches. She points to a spot near your jawline. More, she says simply. It must be perfectly smooth. The Oshiroi will betray any mistake you make here. The debate among historical cosmetologists and scholars often touches on this base layer. Some formulas for Bentusquirocha were simpler, made from rapeseed oil and Japan wax, derived from the berries of the haze tree. Others might have included different types of waxes or oils, with recipes varying from one okiya to another, passed down like treasured secrets. Did some houses have better formulas that were less comedogonic or longer lasting? It's entirely possible. The precise chemistry of this foundational goo is a subject of ongoing, if niche, academic curiosity. You add a little more wax to your jawline, smoothing it out until the surface of your skin has a uniform, slightly shiny texture. Your entire face, neck, and chest now feel like a freshly waxed tabletop. It's an incredibly strange sensation, a mask before the mask. You are no longer skin and bone. You are a prepared surface. The foundation is laid. Now it's time to build the house of beauty upon it, starting with the iconic and notorious white paint. You glance at the checky block of Oshiroi, ready for the next stage of the alchemy. Now you turn your attention to the shallow porcelain dish in the hard, white cake of Oshiroi. This is the heart of the transformation. You pick up a small ceramic water pot, your movements precise and economical. Tilting it just so, you let a few drops of clean, cool water fall into the mixing dish. Not too much. You can always add more, but you can't take it away. This is a lesson Keiko yelled into you from your very first attempt. You take your wide, flat ink brush, the one that looks like a painter's tool, and dip it into the water. Then, you begin to work it against the solid cake of white powder. The friction creates a soft, scraping sound, the only noise in the room besides your breathing. Slowly, a white paste begins to form on the bristles of your brush. You transfer this to the mixing dish, blending it with the water you've already placed there. You repeat the process, a little scraping, a little mixing. The goal is to achieve the perfect consistency. As Kiko, reminded you, it should be like fresh cream. Too thin, and the coverage will be streaky and translucent, a ghostly wash instead of an opaque mass. Too thick, and it will be difficult to spread, kicking and cracking as it dries, creating a map of tiny fissures on your face. This process is an art in itself. It's chemistry by feel. You are judging the mixture by its weight on the brush, the way it drips, the texture as you stir it. There are no measuring cups, no written instructions. There is only the accumulated wisdom passed from 1S and 2IMOU to San. This hands-on, intuitive process is a world away from modern cosmetics. Today, we expect consistency. We buy a bottle of foundation and trust that it will be the same texture and color every time. For you, the product is never exactly the same twice. It depends on the humidity in the air, the temperature of the water, the specific density of your Oshiroi block. You have to be an artist and a chemist every single morning, responding to the subtle variations of your materials. You hold the dish up for Kiku iOS inspection. She peers at it, then nods once. A small, almost imperceptible sign of approval, but it feels like winning a medal. You've gotten it right. This white powder, the Oshiroi, has a long and complex history in Japan, predating the Geisha by centuries. As far back as the Nara period, Xiaolin Chijose, courtiers were using face powders, influenced by trends from Tang Dynasty China. It was a mark of aristocracy, of a life lived indoors, away from the sun, darkening labor of the fields. A pale complexion was the ultimate status symbol. This is a key historical point. The Geisha's white face was not an invention, but the dramatic, stylized evolution of a long-standing aesthetic ideal in East Asia. It was aristocracy, amplified and theatricalized for the world of entertainment. A weird little fact about the application process involves what you don't do. You don't just slap it on. The mixed paste is first applied to the major planes of the face, the forehead, the cheeks, the chin, with the brush. But then, much of the blending is done with the hands and a special triangular or wedge-shaped sponge. You will use the sponge to patent press the foundation into the waxy base, ensuring a smooth, seamless finish. This patting motion is crucial for avoiding streaks and creating that perfect porcelain dough look. It's a technique that has, in a way, come full circle with the modern-day popularity of beauty blenders. As you sit there, with your perfectly mixed bowl of white paste, you are a link in a chain of beauty that stretches back over 1,000 years. But your version of it is the most extreme, the most iconic. While the court ladies of the high-end period powdered their faces, they didn't create the stock, mask-like effect you are about to. The world you inhabit, the floating world of tea houses and theaters, demanded a more dramatic, more resilient look that could last for hours under lamplight and intense scrutiny. The argument among historians here is subtle but interesting. Was the Geisha's specific style of Oshiroi primarily driven by theatrical necessity, the need to be seen in dim lighting, or by symbolic intent, the need to create an unhuman, idealized image of art? The likely answer is both. The demands of the stage and the dim, flickering candlelight of a Shiki banquet room certainly made a bright, reflective face a practical advantage, but it also served to elevate the geisha, to remove her from the realm of the everyday and place her in the realm of the artistic ideal. The mask was both a spotlight and a shield. Your paste is ready. The cool, creamy liquid sits in the porcelain bowl, a blank slate waiting to remake you. You pick up the hake brush, its bristles heavy with the white liquid. The moment of truth has arrived. You dip your hake brush into the creamy white paste, the bristles becoming saturated with the cool, heavy liquid. As you lift it to your face, it's worth pausing to consider the very substance you are about to paint onto your skin. For you, in this 19th century moment, this is simply Oshiroi. It is the necessary to love your trade. But looking back with modern eyes, we know its secret. The ingredient that makes it so brilliantly white, so perfectly opaque, is lead. Specifically, it's white lead carbonate, a powder that has been used as a pigment for thousands of years across the world. From ancient Greece to Renaissance Europe, it was prized for its brightness, its coverage, and its smooth, buttery texture when mixed with oil. In Japan, its use in cosmetics became widespread during the Edo period, gradually replacing the older, safer, but less effective rice and oyster shell powders. It was a technological upgrade, a better way to achieve the desired aesthetic. This is the central, tragic irony of the Geisha's beauty. The very thing that created the iconic, flawless look was a slow-acting poison. Lead, when absorbed through the skin or inhaled as dust, builds up in the body. It mimics other metals like calcium and iron, embedding itself in bones and interfering with nerve function. The effects of chronic lead poisoning are insidious and varied. Severe skin problems, abdominal pain, nerve damage, and, in the long term, serious neurological and developmental issues. You, of course, know none of this in clinical terms, but you are not entirely unaware of the consequences. You have seen it in the older geisha. You've seen the way their skin, when bare, can be discolored, grayish, and permanently damaged. You've heard them complain of aches and pains that seem to have no cause. These ailments are often just accepted as the price of the profession, a mysterious Geisha's disease, its direct cause not fully understood or, perhaps, willfully ignored. The connection between the pot of white powder and the quiet suffering years later was not a straight line. As you begin to apply the Oshiroi, the immediate sensation is one of cool relief on your skin, which is already feeling stuffy under the wax base. But this feeling is deceptive. Your older sister, Chikoyo, watches you intently. She once told you a story about a famous geisha from a generation before, renowned for her flawless complexion, who insisted on using a special, even more brilliant Oshiroi. She died young, her beauty preserved in prints and stories, but her death was whispered about in the corridors of the Okiya. No one said the word poison, but the implication was there. A beautiful, dangerous myth. The debate among historians on this topic is not about whether lead was poisonous, but about the extent to which the women themselves were aware of the specific link. Some argue that by the late 19th and early 20th centuries, with increased contact with Western medicine, the dangers of lead were becoming more widely known. Yet the tradition continued due to aesthetic and professional pressures. Others suggest that in a world without modern toxicology, the chronic symptoms were easily attributed to other causes: fatigue, poor diet, the stresses of the job. It was a classic case of a long-term, invisible threat being overshadowed by the immediate, tangible rewards of professional success. A quirky, and rather sad, little fact is that geisha and kabuki actors, who also used lead-based makeup, were not the only ones at risk. Mothers who wore the makeup could pass the lead to their infants through kissing or nursing, leading to developmental problems in the next generation. The quest for a specific ideal of beauty had consequences that rippled outwards. It wasn't until after World War II, with the large-scale industrial production of safe, titanium dioxide-based powders, that the use of lead in Japanese cosmetics was finally eradicated. The look was preserved, but the danger was removed. For now, however, you are in the age of lead. You pick up the brush, heavy with the white pigment. You don't think of it as a toxin. You think of it as your identity. It's the color of the snow on Mount Fuji, the color of a perfect pearl. It is the color of your profession. It is the color of art. With a steady hand, you bring the brush to your forehead, ready to lay down the first stroke of white. The weight of this beauty, both literal and metaphorical, is something you will carry for the rest of your life, in more ways than you can possibly imagine. The application of this beautiful poison is not just a routine. It's a profound, unconscious sacrifice. The brush touches your skin. The first stroke of white is a broad, confident band across the top of your forehead, just below your hairline. The paste is cool and smooth, gliding over the waxy base you so carefully applied. From this first line, you work downwards, using the flat side of the hake brush to cover the large planes of your face. You are not scrubbing or rubbing. The motion is deliberate and controlled, like painting a delicate piece of porcelain. You paint over your cheeks, your nose, your chin, and down onto your neck. You meticulously cover your eyelids, your ears, and even the inside of your nostrils. No trace of your natural skin tone can remain visible from the front. The goal is to create a complete, unbroken field of white. This isn't about enhancing your features. It's about obliterating them, creating a blank canvas upon which a new, idealized face will be constructed. As you work, you switch from the brush to a triangular sponge. You use it to patent blend the Oshiroi, pressing it gently into the skin. This blotting motion is crucial for creating a uniform, flawless texture. It removes any excess moisture and eliminates the brush strokes, which would ruin the illusion. The sound is a soft, rhythmic pat-pat, a gentle percussion in the quiet room. You look into the bronze mirror. The effect is startling, even though you do this every day. The white, featureless mask is staring back at you. Your eyes, lips, and the faint shadows that give your face dimension have all but disappeared into the stark whiteness. It's a slightly unsettling, ghostly image. You are no longer you. You are a blank slate, a creature of pure potential. This is the foundational principle of the Geisha's makeup. It is a mask, not an enhancement. Unlike modern Western makeup, which aims to create the illusion of natural beauty, to contour, to highlight, to look like a better version of oneself, this traditional Japanese aesthetic is overtly artificial. It's not pretending to be skin. It proudly declares itself as a painted surface, a work of art. The white face signals to the viewer that they are not interacting with an ordinary woman, but with a living embodiment of an artistic tradition. She is not a person, she is a performance. Teiko your watches her technique, her gaze missing nothing. She might point out a small area near your ear that isn't perfectly blended, or a spot on your eyelid that needs a little more coverage. Her corrections are minimal now. You have practiced this hundreds of times, and your hands move with a learned confidence. A fascinating, and often overlooked, detail is how the makeup interacts with the senses. You can smell the faint, jerky, almost metallic scent of the lead-based powder. You can feel its weight on your skin, a constant, physical reminder of the mask you are wearing. As the hours wear on, it will dry and tighten, restricting your facial expressions. This is intentional. A Maiko is not supposed to have a wide range of expressions. Her emotions should be conveyed through the tilt of her head, the graceful movement of a hand, the subtle language of a fan. The mask enforces a placid, serene expression, reinforcing the image of otherworldly composure. The historical debate here revolves around the evolution of this darkness. Earlier depictions of courtly makeup from the Heian period show a white face, but it was often softer, more powdery. When and why did the look become so opaque and mask-like? Many scholars point to the rise of the merchant class in the Edo period. As they became the primary patrons of the Geisha and kabuki theater, the aesthetics became bolder and more dramatic. The tea houses and theaters were lively, boisterous places. A subtle, natural look would have been lost. The geisha's look had to become more theatrical, more instantly recognizable, to compete for attention and to project an image of high art and expense. You have now finished applying the base coat. Your entire face and neck are uniform, not white. But you are not done. You carefully take the pot of Oshiroi again, and with a clean, wet sponge, you go back over everything one more time. This second layer is for perfection, for ensuring absolute opacity on the finish as smooth as an eggshell. It's this meticulous, multi-step process that separates an amateur from a professional. Finally, you put the sponge down. The canvas is prepared. It's a strange feeling, looking at this blank version of yourself in the mirror. It's a moment of pure nudity, a quiet pause between your old self and the new one you are about to create. The most important parts of the painting, the details that will give it life and meaning, are yet to come. But the foundation, this stark, brilliant, and dangerous white, is complete. The white canvas does not stop at your chin. That would create a jarring, amateurish line. The illusion must be complete, extending the porcelain artifice beyond the face. With the same meticulous care, you pick up your brush and sponge and continue the process downwards. You are now painting your neck, your collarbones, and your upper back. This part of the process is physically awkward. You have to crane your neck and twist your arms to reach your own back, all while maintaining the same flawless, even coverage. Sometimes, for a particularly intricate pattern on the back, another Maiko or your older sister might help, but it is a point of pride to be able to do it yourself. It's a test of your dexterity and discipline. You carefully paint the white Oshiroi down your nape, over the delicate curve of your shoulders, and across the expanse of your upper chest, an area known as the décolleté age in the West. This creates a seamless transition from your face to your body, ensuring that any part of you visible above the collar of your kimono will have the same ethereal, doll-like quality. The kimono will be worn with the collar pulled back, deliberately revealing the nape of your neck and a portion of your back, so this area is just as important as your face. This practice is deeply rooted in the aesthetics of the time. The exposure of skin on the chest and back, framed by the color of the kimono, was considered alluring and elegant. By covering it in the same white makeup, you are transforming it from mere skin into a deliberate, stylized part of the overall artwork. It becomes a canvas in its own right. As you put the white paste onto your chest with the sponge, you think about the feeling of the kimono you will wear later. The heavy silk, the intricate embroidery, the wide obi sash. The kimono itself is a masterpiece, and your makeup is designed to complement it, not compete with it. The white skin provides a stark, clean background that makes the vibrant colors and patterns of the kimono pop. It's a holistic vision of beauty where makeup, hair, and clothing are all inseparable parts of a single, unified aesthetic statement. Here's a quirky little detail you might not consider. Temperature regulation. Covered in a thick layer of wax and lead-based paint, your skin's ability to sweat and breathe is significantly reduced. And soon, you will be wrapped in multiple layers of heavy silk. On a warm evening, in a crowded tea house filled with people and lamps, the heat can become intense. Fainting from heat exhaustion was not an unheard of occupational hazard. The grace and composure of a geisha all the more impressive when you realize they are often performing in what amounts to a personal sauna. You continue to paint, following the lines of your muscles, ensuring the coverage is even over the subtle hollows of your collarbone. This is where the artist relies in treating the three-dimensional surface of the human body as a two-dimensional canvas, erasing shadows and curves to create a new, idealized form. The historical debate around this practice often centers on its eroticism. To the modern Western eye, the white, mask-like face can seem devoid of sensuality. But in the context of Edo and Meiji-era Japan, allure was communicated in far more subtle ways. It wasn't about overt displays, but about suggestion and glimpses. The nape of the neck, the line of the back, the delicate twist emerging from a kimono sleeve, these were the focal points of attraction. By covering the chest and back in white, the makeup ritual paradoxically draws more attention to these areas, framing them and presenting them as objects of stylized beauty. It's a different language of sensuality, one based on artifice and control rather than naturalism. You finish the last patch on your upper back, twisting to check your work in the bronze mirror. It's a strange sight. Your familiar body, now coated in this stark, unnatural white, seems to belong to someone else. It has the texture and color of a bisque doll. The transformation is expanding, claiming more of you. You are becoming less of a person and more of an object, a vessel for a specific kind of beauty. The broad strokes are done. The entire visible area, from your forehead to your upper back, is now a smooth, matte, white canvas. It's a monumental and painstaking effort, and it's still only the halfway point. Now that you've created the ground of the painting, it's time to add the most important and symbolic details. The next step will not be about adding more, but about taking something away, creating a deliberate imperfection that is the most famous detail of all. Now comes the most iconic and, arguably, the most alluring detail of the entire transformation. You are not going to add more paint. Instead, you are going to reveal, with a small, clean cloth or a fine-tipped brush dipped in water, you will carefully erase a small part of the makeup you just so painstakingly applied. The focus is on the nape of your neck. This is the creation of the Isehan-Honten, which translates to collar lines or nape legs. It is a small, V-shaped or W-shaped patch of unpainted skin left exposed at the hairline on the back of your neck. The shape is not random. It is deliberately designed to give the impression of a deeper, more elegant nape, and to create a tantalizing glimpse of the real, human skin beneath the mask. You turn your back to the main bronze mirror and use a smaller, handheld mirror to see your reflection. This requires immense concentration and a steady hand. The lines must be crisp and symmetrical. A sloppy or eye as high is a sign of an amateur. You carefully draw the shape, wiping away the white Oshiroi to reveal your natural skin tone. The contrast is dramatic. The warm, living skin against the stark, cool white of the makeup. For a Maiko like you, the traditional shape is a two-pronged W shape, known as Isehan-Honten, 2 legs. This is a sign of your youth and apprentice status. This senior Geisha, Taideko, will graduate to a more simplified, 3-pronged W shape, symbolic, 3 legs, which is considered more formal and mature. It's a subtle but clear visual code, a way of signaling your rank and experience to those in the know without saying a word. Your identity is literally written on the back of your neck. This practice highlights a fundamental principle of Japanese aesthetics known as wabuzifi, the appreciation of imperfection. In a look that is otherwise about flawless, inhuman perfection, the Isehan as high as a deliberate, calculated flaw. It is a reminder that beneath the painted artifice, there is a real, living, breathing woman. It breaks the monotony of the white and, in doing so, makes the entire illusion more powerful and more captivating. It's the single brushstroke of humanity on an otherwise divine canvas. This specific focus on the nape of the neck, as a point of beauty and sensuality, is a cornerstone of traditional Japanese aesthetics. In a culture where women's bodies were almost always concealed by layers of clothing, the nape was one of the few areas of skin left visible. The way the kimono collar, the Isehan, is traditionally worn low and pulled back is specifically to frame and showcase this area. The Isehan's eye makeup technique is the final step in this elaborate presentation, drawing the eye and emphasizing this focal point of allure. A little known but interesting tidbit is that the specific shape and size of the Isehan's eye could also be adjusted for different occasions. For a very formal event, the lines might be thinner and more precise. For a less formal gathering, they might be slightly softer. Like everything in this world, it was a language of subtle variations. You carefully inspect your work in the handheld mirror. The 2 prongs are clean and sharp. They follow the natural line of your hairline, enhancing the graceful curve of your neck. It's perfect. This small patch of exposed skin is now the most visually potent part of your entire look. It's a focal point, a secret, a quiet invitation to look closer. It suggests intimacy and reality in a sea of stylized perfection. This is the genius of the Geisha's Maiko. It understands that true allure is not about revealing everything, but about what you choose to conceal and what you choose to reveal. The mask is powerful, but the glimpse of the skin beneath, it is what makes it truly mesmerizing. You have not just painted your skin, you have sculpted with contrast, using negative space to create a powerful statement. The canvas is no longer blank. It now has its first, and most important, signature mark. The eye as high seems like a straightforward, if technically demanding, part of the ritual. The two-pronged shape for a Maiko, the three-pronged one for a Geiko. It appears to be a clear, codified system. And yet, this is precisely where historians and cultural anthropologists love to dive in, because nothing in the floating world is ever quite as simple as it seems. The exact meaning, origin, and evolution of the eye as higher subjects of rich, ongoing debate. The mainstream understanding, the one you are taught by Kikuyo, is that it's a mark of sensuality and a signal of status. It's an aesthetic choice designed to make the nape appear longer and more graceful, breaking up the stark white with a hint of natural skin. This is the practical, accepted wisdom of the Hanamaki. But scholars question how and when these specific rules came to be. One school of thought argues that the practice is very old, almost shamanistic roots. In some ancient Shinto rituals, paint or markings on the body were used to create a connection between the human and the divine, or to ward off evil spirits. Could the eye as high be a highly stylized, secularized remnant of an older, more spiritual practice, a symbolic gateway on the body? This is difficult to prove, as written records detailing the intent behind cosmetic choices are scarce. We have the what, but we often have to speculate about the why. Another, more pragmatic argument, which is a favorite among fashion historians, is that the shape of the or eye as high evolved in tandem with hairstyles and kimono colors. As hairstyles became more elaborate and voluminous, and as the kimono collar began to be worn lower and lower on the back, there was a need to aesthetically manage the space that was created. The painted V or double yo shape might have started as a simple trick to create a cleaner, or pleasing line between the dark hair and the white neck, and only later acquired its more complex symbolic meanings of status and allure. In this view, it's not deep symbolism, but a brilliant piece of fashion design. This is where you get the classic historians are still arguing moment. We can look at hundreds of ukiyo-e woodblock prints from the Edo period and see the eye as high depicted on geisha and courtesans. We see the different shapes, but the prints are silent witnesses. They show us the final look, but they don't explain the rulebook. Was the two-prong, three-prong rule an unbreakable law across all of Kyoto, or did it vary from one geisha district to another? Did it exist in the geisha communities of Tokyo, Oshiroi, in the same way? Accounts from retired geisha in the 20th century have helped to codify our understanding, but they are speaking of the traditions as they knew them. How much had those traditions changed over the preceding century? It's a historical game of telephone. The rules you follow so strictly today might be a relatively recent formalization of what was once a more fluid custom. A fascinating side note to this debate is the idea of individualism within the conformity. While the rules existed, was there ever room for a personal touch? Could a particularly famous geisha, known for her beautiful neck, have used a slightly more dramatic or elongated eye as high as a personal signature? It's certainly possible. The most successful geisha were not just followers of tradition, they were trendsetters. They were the fashion influencers of their day. While a young Maiko like you must follow the rules to the letter, a superstar geiko at the peak of her career might have had the status and confidence to bend them slightly, creating a subtle variation that would be noticed and admired by connoisseurs. So, as you admire your perfectly formed Nihon as high in the mirror, You are participating in a ritual whose precise origins are beautifully murky. Is it a whisper of ancient spirituality? A clever solution to a fashion problem? A rigid status marker? Or all of the above? The truth is likely a complex tapestry woven from all these threads. For you, the why is less important than the how. Your motivation is simple. This is what Kyoto taught you. This is what is expected. This is the mark of a professional Maiko. The deeper historical currents flowing beneath this simple act are invisible to you, but they are there. You are painting not just your skin, but a symbol whose full story is still being debated. A testament to the fact that even the most fleeting of arts, the art of makeup, has a history filled with mystery. Your attention now moves from the back of your neck back to your face. The next step in this systematic transformation is to address your eyebrows, but you're not going to fill them in or shape them. You are going to make them vanish completely, only to resurrect them in a new, idealized form. You've already taken the first step by plastering your natural eyebrow hairs down with the sticky Bentuscurocha. Now you take a small amount of the same white Oshiroi paste on a fine brush, or a sponge and meticulously paint over them. You pat and blend until the place where your eyebrows once were is an uninterrupted field of white, perfectly seamless with the rest of your forehead. Looking in the mirror is a truly strange experience. The absence of eyebrows is one of the most subtly unsettling changes to a human face. Eyebrows are critical for framing the eyes and conveying emotion. Without them, your face looks blank, alien, and almost mannequin-like. This is, of course, entirely the point. You are systematically removing the features that make your face, deconstructing your identity to build a new one. This practice of altering the eyebrows has a long and fascinating history in Japan, especially among aristocratic women. For centuries, a custom known as hikimei was the height of courtly fashion. Women would pluck or shave off their natural eyebrows entirely. Then, they would use black ink to paint on a new set of soft, smudgy eyebrows, not where the original brows were, but much higher on the forehead, almost at the hairline. If you look at art from the Heian period, like the famous tale of Genji scrolls, you'll see the court ladies with these high, artificial smudge brows. It was considered a mark of supreme elegance and nobility. By your time in the 19th century, the practice of hikimei has mostly fallen out of fashion for the general population, but it survives in a modified form in the highly stylized worlds of the Geisha and the theater. You won't be drawing a thumb smudge on your hairline, but the principle of erasing and recreating remains. After completely hiding your own brows, you will paint on a new set. They will be placed slightly higher than your natural brow line to create a look of serene, slightly surprised elegance. You won't use a harsh black at first. The first layer is often a soft charcoal gray, creating a delicate shape. Then, a touch of red or even a hint of purple might be added over the black, a subtle detail that adds warmth and life to the mask, preventing it from looking too severe. A weird but true fact about eyebrow history: the hikimei practice was also linked to a woman's marital status. Once a woman was married, she would shave her eyebrows and blacken her teeth, though Beiguro is a sign of her new status. The white face, blackened teeth, and shaved brows were considered the pinnacle of mature female beauty for a very long time. While Geisha did not typically practice tooth blackening in your era, it was seen as an older, less fashionable custom. The manipulation of the eyebrows is a direct echo of this aristocratic tradition. You are now at a midpoint. Your natural brows are gone, hidden under a layer of wax and lead. Your face is an empty canvas, waiting for new features to be drawn on. This act of erasure is psychologically potent. Historians and sociologists who study identity formation sometimes point to this step as a key moment in the geisha's psychological conditioning. By repeatedly, on a daily basis, wiping away your own expressive features, you are training yourself to separate your inner emotional world from your outer presentation. The mask is not just paint, it's a mental discipline. The debate here isn't about the technique itself, but its social meaning. Did the erasure of the natural brows symbolize a rejection of natural or untamed femininity in favor of a controlled, artistic version? Or was it simply a fashion holdover, a vintage trend that became locked into the geisha's conservative world, long after it had been abandoned by mainstream society? The geisha world, or Teiyokai, is often described as a living museum, preserving customs, clothing, and etiquette from earlier eras. Your face is becoming a walking exhibit of historical beauty standards. You pick up the fine brush, ready to dip it in the black pigment. The moment of erasure is over. Now it's time for the recreation. You will give this blank face its first expression, a carefully painted arch of serene sophistication. You are not just applying makeup. You are an architect of identity, drawing a new personality onto the blank slate of your own skin. Before you commit to the stark black lines that will define the eyes and new eyebrows, you introduce a surprising element, a soft wash of reed. This is a subtle, delicate step, but it is fundamentally important. It's the secret ingredient that breathes life into the mask, preventing the brilliant white from looking flat, cold, or ghoulish. You take your finest, softest brush and dip just the very tip of it into the pot of red pigment, the same precious Beni that you will later use for your lips. You need only the tiniest amount. You then gently dust this faint red blush into specific, strategic areas of your face. The first application is around your eyes. You sweep a soft, rosy halo onto your eyelids and into the sockets, concentrating the color at the outer corners. It's not meant to look like eyeshadow in the modern sense. It's a subtle gradation, a hint of warmth that makes your eyes look deeper and more soulful against the white background. It's an old artist's trick. Placing a warm color next to a cool one makes both appear more vibrant. Next, you add a touch of the same reed to the new eyebrows you've just begun to sketch in with charcoal. You blend a tiny amount of reed into the black, which softens the color and gives it a more natural, lifelike dimension. From a distance, the eyebrow will still read as black, but up close, in the intimate setting of a tea house, this subtle reddish-brown tint adds a layer of warmth and sophistication. This use of reed as a subtle accent is one of the most refined and often overlooked aspects of the geisha's makeup. It's a testament to the incredible attention to detail in this art form. The white creates the canvas, the black will create the structure, but the red provides the emotion. This particular technique is a fascinating piece of makeup history. The practice of adding a touch of reed to the outer corners of the eyes has been noted in Japanese beauty manuals for centuries. It was believed to give the eyes a certain charm and allure, a hint of emotion in an otherwise placid face. Some historians suggest this might have been an attempt to mimic the natural flush of emotion, the slight reddening of the eyes that occurs with strong feeling or excitement, but in a controlled, stylized way. You are painting on the suggestion of passion, rather than displaying it yourself. A little-known fact is that this red pigment wasn't just used on the face. For special performances or formal occasions, a geisha might also apply a touch of reed to her earlobes. It was another small, almost secret detail that added a hint of color and life to the overall picture, catching the light as she turned her head. It's this layering of tiny, almost subliminal details that elevates the makeup from a simple mask to a complex work of art. The academic debate surrounding the use of reed is about its symbolism. Reed, or aka, is a powerful color in Japanese culture, with a complex and sometimes contradictory set of meanings. It can symbolize life, passion, and the sun. It is the color of celebration and happiness, seen in the red torii gates of Shinto shrines. However, it can also represent danger, blood, and strong, untamed emotion. So, what does the reed on the geisha's face signify? Is it a touch of life and vitality, warming up the cold white mask? Or is it a hint of the carefully controlled passion and artistic fire that lies beneath the serene surface? The answer is likely both. The geisha herself is a paradox, a figure of extreme discipline and control who traffics in the art of entertainment and charm. The red on her face perfectly mirrors this duality. It is a tiny, controlled spark of fire on a field of pure white snow. You gently blend the last whisper of red into the corner of your eye, then step back to assess the effect in the mirror. The change is subtle but profound. The white face no longer looks like a flat mask. It has a new depth, a hint of warmth. Your eyes, even before the liner is applied, already appear more defined and expressive. It's as if the first breath of life has been infused into the porcelain doll. This step is a quiet reminder that this art form is not about creating something alien, but about creating a heightened, idealized version of humanity. You have softened the edges of the divine with a delicate, human blush, with the subtle warmth of the red providing a base. It's time to bring sharp, defining focus to your eyes. This is a moment of intense concentration. You will now apply the black eyeliner, a step that requires the steadiest of hands and an artist's precision. You reach for the tools, a solid stick of black pigment, or sumi, and a flat, hard stone called a suziyeri. This is the exact same setup used for Japanese calligraphy, sa-chodo. You place a single drop of water onto the inkstone and begin to grind the charcoal stick against it in a small, circular motion. Slowly, a pool of rich, black liquid forms. The process is meditative in itself, the soft grinding sound focusing your mind. You are not just opening a bottle of eyeliner, you are creating your ink from scratch, connecting your cosmetic art to the ancient tradition of calligraphy. Once the ink is the right consistency, opaque and smooth, but not too thick, you pick up your finest brush. It has a long, slender handle and a tiny, pointed tip made from weasel or sable hair, designed to hold a sharp point. You carefully dip just the tip into the pool of black ink. You lean in close to the bronze mirror. You hold your breath. This is not a negotiable part of the process. Holding your breath steadies your entire body, preventing the microscopic tremors that could ruin the line. You start at the inner corner of your upper eyelid, pressing the brush gently against the base of your lashes. You draw a single, unbroken line outwards. The line is not just a simple tracing of your eye shape. It's a stylized stroke. It starts thin at the inner corner, thickens slightly over the center of your eye, and then extends outwards and slightly upwards into a crisp, clean wing. The shape is designed to elongate the eye, creating an almond shape that is considered elegant and graceful. After completing the upper lid, you add a much finer, more delicate line to the outer third of your lower lash line. This is never a heavy, solid line. It's just a hint of definition, enough to frame the eye without closing it off. The red you applied earlier at the outer corner is now framed by these two black lines, making the effect even more striking. This specific style of eyeliner is a defining feature of the geisha look. It's a key piece of historical makeup application. Unlike some modern styles that aim for a rounded, doe-eyed look, the goal here is sophistication and a certain feline grace. The upward flick of the liner gives the face a look of alertness and intelligence. A fascinating and weirdly specific detail is that the intensity of the eye makeup could vary depending on your rank. As a Maiko, your makeup is generally more colorful and, in some ways, more cute or youthful. A senior geisha might use a more subtle, sharper, and more dramatic black eyeliner to create a look that is more severe, sophisticated, and mature. It's a language of lines. The historical debate around the eye makeup often circles back to the influence of theater. Kabuki actors, who performed in large, dimly lit theaters, used dramatic, exaggerated red and black lines around their eyes, kumadori, to convey the nature of their character to the audience from a distance. While the geisha's makeup is far more refined and less theatrical than a kabuki actor's, some scholars argue that the principle is the same. The sharp, black liner is a miniaturized version of theatrical makeup, designed to make the eyes expressive and visible in the soft, flickering light of a tea house. It's performance makeup, scaled down for a more intimate venue. You finish the line on your second eye, making sure it is a perfect mirror image of the first. You exhale slowly, the tension releasing from your shoulders. The effect is immediate and powerful. The blank, doll-like face now has a focal point. Your eyes are sharp, defined, and imbued with a serene, watchful expression. They look back at you from the mirror, and for the first time, the mask seems to be looking back with its own personality. The application of the eyeliner is more than just decoration. It is the drawing of the soul of the mask. You have taken a blank slate and given it a gaze. It's a gaze that is calm, intelligent, and slightly distant, the perfect expression for a woman whose job is to be an impeccable and unattainable work of art. After the intense, sharp focus of the eyeliner, the next step is softer and more subtle. It's a form of conjuring, but not as we know it today. There are no dark powders to create sharp, chiseled cheekbones. The goal is not to create angularity, but to enhance the gentle roundness of the face and to give the nose a delicate, refined structure, all while maintaining the pale, uniform canvas. You are going to create a form of classical, almost painterly, highlighting. You take a bit of the pure white Oshiroi powder, this time in its dry, powdered form, not the paste, and a soft, clean brush. You then gently dust it down the bridge of your nose. The application is light and feathery. You trace a straight, narrow line from the top of your nose, between your newly painted eyebrows, all the way down to the tip. The powder catches the light, making the bridge of the nose appear higher, straighter, and more defined against the matte white of the surrounding face. It's a simple optical illusion, a technique that artists have used for centuries to create the impression of dimension on a flat surface. This is fundamentally different from modern conjuring, which often uses darker shades to create shadows. The traditional geisha makeup rarely employed dark powders for shaping the face. The aesthetic ideal was not a sharp, hollowed-out look, but a softer, more rounded facial shape, often referred to as an Anne or melon seed face, which was considered the epitome of feminine beauty. The highlighting on the nose was one of the few techniques used to create a sense of structure without compromising this ideal of soft fullness. This technique is a perfect example of the sophisticated, subtle artistry involved. It's a detail that might not be immediately obvious to a casual observer, but it contributes significantly to the overall effect. It adds a three-dimensional quality to the face, preventing the white mask from looking like a flat plate. In the flickering candlelight of a tea house, this line of white powder would catch the light, giving the face a sculptural, almost luminous quality. A quirky historical detail is that nose shape has long been a point of aesthetic focus in Japan. Woodblock prints from the Edo period often depict beauties with impossibly long, straight, and elegant noses. This makeup technique was a way to emulate that idealized feature in real life. It wasn't about making your nose look like your nose, but about making it look like the nose from a famous painting. You are literally turning yourself into a living ukiyo-e print. The academic discussion around this practice touches on the concept of borrowed beauty. The entire makeup ritual is about replacing natural features with idealized, artistic ones. The eyebrows are moved, the lips are reshaped, and the nose is straightened with powder. Scholars debate whether this should be interpreted as a form of self-negation or as a powerful act of artistic creation. Are you erasing yourself, or are you elevating yourself to the level of high art? For the women inside the tradition, it was likely both at once. It was the craft they had to master to achieve professional status and artistic recognition. You look in the mirror, turning your head from side to side to see how the light catches the powdered line on your nose. The effect is subtle but undeniable. Your face seems to have more structure, more elegance. The bridge of your nose appears more refined. It's a small touch, but it adds to the growing sense of a deliberate, constructed beauty. You have built the foundation, infused it with warmth, and given it a piercing gaze. Now, with this gentle touch of highlight, you have given the mask a bone structure. Each step is a layer of meaning, a piece of a complex puzzle. The face in the mirror is looking less like a blank canvas and more like a finished sculpture, waiting for its final, brilliant touch of color. The most dramatic part of the transformation, the painting of the lips, is yet to come. It is time for the final, and most precious, touch of color. You turn your attention to the most expensive and mysterious item on your lacquered tray, this small, ornate bowl containing the komachi beni. As you look inside, you don't see red paint. What you see is a mesmerizing, iridescent sheen, like the wing of a jewel beetle or a stick of oil on water. The inside of the bowl is coated with a substance that glows with a metallic, greenish gold luster. This is the magic of traditional Japanese lipstick. This is komachi beni, named after the legendary high-end period poet Ono no Komachi, a woman famed for her incredible beauty. It is made from the petals of the safflower plant, Beni bona. The process of creating it is incredibly labor-intensive and has been a closely guarded secret of artisans for centuries. It involves extracting a tiny amount of red pigment, only about 1% of the petals make up, while discarding the much more plentiful yellow pigment. This red extract is then repeatedly painted onto the inside of a bowl or an oyster shell and allowed to dry, building up layer upon layer until it creates this distinctive, otherworldly green sheen. You take your finest lip brush, a slender tool called a Beni, and dip it into a tiny amount of water. You then touch the wet brush to the iridescent surface inside the bowl. The moment the water touches the dried pigment, a chemical transformation occurs. The greenish film dissolves into a brilliant, vivid red. The intensity of the red depends on how much water you use and how many layers you apply. It can range from a soft, translucent pink to a deep, opaque scarlet. This substance was phenomenally expensive. A single komachi beni bowl was a luxury item, a status symbol for the geisha or wealthy woman who owned it. The quality and brilliance of your beni was a subtle signal of your success and the generosity of your patrons. This is a far cry from a disposable tube of lipstick. This was a treasured, resellable, and almost ritualistic object. Here's a truly fascinating weird fact about komachi beni. The iridescent green effect is a phenomenon known as structural coloration. The pigment itself is red, but the way the molecules dry and stack on top of each other creates a microscopic structure that reflects light in a way that makes it appear green. It's the same principle that gives peacocks, feathers, and butterfly wings their shimmer. The ancient artisans who created this cosmetic didn't understand the physics, of course. To them, it was simply tamamushi-iro, or jewel beetle color, a sign of the pigment's high quality and concentration. When it turned green, they knew they had done it right. You have now activated the pigment. The tip of your brush glows with a vibrant crimson. You are ready to paint your lips, but this is not a simple matter of following your natural lip line. The shape you will create is one of the most distinctive and symbolic elements of your Maiko identity. The academic debate here focuses on the cultural meaning of this unique cosmetic. Was its value derived purely from its rarity and the difficulty of its production, making it a classic example of what economists call a Veblen good, an item whose value comes from its being conspicuously expensive? Or was there a deeper, aesthetic appreciation for its transformative properties, the magic of turning from green to red? Scholars suggest it was both. The high price tag made it exclusive and desirable, while the unique visual properties made it a source of fascination and a part of the theater of the makeup ritual itself. It was just lipstick. It was a conversation piece, a tiny piece of performance art in a bowl. You lift the brush, now heavy with brilliant red pigment, to your mouth. The white, featureless face in the mirror is about to receive its final, dramatic punctuation mark. The color you are about to apply is not just a color. It is liquid history, a symbol of beauty, status, and the secret alchemy of turning flowers into fire. You do not trace the full shape of your mouth. That would be considered unsophisticated, almost vulgar, in this aesthetic system. Instead, you are going to create a small, delicate, and highly stylized mouth, a shape often compared to a flower bud. This is the Beni style. The ideal is a mouth that looks small and precious, a deliberate understatement that contrasts sharply with the bold drama of the eyes. You purse your lips slightly, creating a smooth canvas. Then, with the Beni brush, you carefully paint a small, cloud-like shape onto the center of your lower lip only. You are not trying to create a bee-stung look in the modern sense. The goal is not overtly sensual plumpness, but a delicate, artistic shape. It should look less like a full mouth and more like a single, perfect petal. You might apply several layers of the Beni to build up the color, making it a rich, vibrant shade. Sometimes, for a particularly luxurious and dimensional look, a tiny amount of crystallized sugar would be added to the top layer. This was for flavor, but to create a subtle, shimmering texture that would catch the light. It was the historical equivalent of a high glossed up coat. This practice of painting a smaller than natural mouth is deeply rooted in traditional East Asian beauty standards. A small, well-defined cherry mouth was considered the height of feminine refinement. By painting only a portion of the lips, you are creating an optical illusion, making your mouth appear smaller and more delicate than it really is. The rest of your lips simply disappear into the white canvas of your face, covered by the Oshiroi. This is one of the most striking elements of the Geisha's look to a modern observer. It's a complete rejection of the contemporary Western ideal of a full, white smile. The Geisha's smile is meant to be subtle, a gentle parting of the lips, a hint of amusement rather than a broad, toothy grin. The painted flower bud mouth reinforces this. It physically and visually discourages wide, expressive mouth movements, compelling you to maintain an air of composure and delicate restraint. A little-known fact is that the shape and style of the painted lips could change over the course of a Geisha's career. As a very new apprentice, you might wear an even smaller, more childlike lip. As you become more senior, the shape might become slightly fuller or more defined, though never covering the whole mouth. It was another subtle, visual cue of your journey through the ranks of the Kaya yokai. The historical debate around the small mouth is fascinating. Was this aesthetic choice purely about conforming to a standard of beauty, or did it serve a more practical, social function? Some sociologists argue that the small, bird-like mouth visually infantilized the Maiko, emphasizing her youth and subordinates within the strict hierarchy of the geisha world. It made her appear more innocent, less threatening, and more doll-like. Others argue from a more artistic perspective, suggesting it was about balance. With such dramatic and expressive eye makeup, her full, brightly painted mouth would have been overwhelming. The small lip creates aesthetic harmony, ensuring the eyes remain the primary focal point of the face. You carefully apply the final touch of red. You blot your lower lip gently, not with a tissue, but perhaps with a small piece of rice paper, to set the color and remove any excess. You look in the mirror. The effect is complete. The single, brilliant red petal on your lower lips, it's in stark contrast to the white canvas. It is the focal point of the lower half of your face, a tiny, perfect splash of color in a sea of pale. It is the period at the end of a long, poetic sentence. Your face is no longer a canvas or a sculpture. It is a finished painting. But there is one final, crucial rule you must observe. A rule that defines your status as a Maiko in the clearest possible way. You look at your reflection. The face is almost complete. The white foundation is flawless. The eyes are defined. And the small, perfect red petal sits on your lower lip. But something is missing. Your upper lip is still pure white, covered by the same Oshiroi as the rest of your face. This is not a mistake. This is the single most important visual signifier of your current identity. As a Maiko, an apprentice in her first few years of training, you only paint your lower lip. This is a strict, unbreakable rule. It is a badge of your junior status, a clear and public declaration that you are still in training. The unpainted upper lip is a symbol of your youth, your innocence, and your subordination to your older sisters in the Okia. To an experienced patron or another member of the geisha community, this single detail tells them everything they need to know about your place in the world. You are fresh, you are new, you are still learning the ropes. This tradition is a powerful tool for enforcing the hierarchy of the Kaya Yokai. The world of the geisha is built on a rigid structure of seniority. Your one Isehan, Chikoyo, as a full geiko, will paint both her upper and lower lips, though still in the small, stylized shape. The day you are finally permitted to paint your upper lip is a major milestone. It will happen during your Arikai ceremony, the turning of the color ritual that marks your graduation from Maiko to Geiko. On that day, you will trade your colorful, long-sleeved Maiko kimono for the more subdued style of a Geiko. Your elaborate hair ornaments will be replaced by simpler ones, and you will, for the first time, paint both your lips. It's a rite of passage, as significant as any graduation ceremony. This practice is a fantastic example of visual coding in a closed society. In a world where direct communication about status could be considered indelicate, these subtle visual cues did all the talking. The number of prongs on your eye is high. The style of your kimono color, the ornaments in your hair, and the paint on your lips, they all formed a complex visual language that everyone within that world could read instantly. A quirky, related fact involves a brief, transitional period for some Maiko. In the final weeks or months leading up to their Arikai ceremony, a senior Maiko might be allowed to fill in her painted lip with a very thin, delicate black outline. It was a subtle sign that her apprenticeship was nearing its end, a hint of the approaching change in her status. It's another layer of complexity in this fascinating visual language. The academic debate around this half-painted lip tradition is compelling. Does it infantilize either Maiko, marking her as incomplete? Or does it function as a protective measure? Some scholars argue that by visually marking the Maiko as a trainee, it sets different expectations for her. She is not expected to have the same level of conversational wit, artistic polish, or social grace as a senior geiko. Her incompleteness is part of her charm and gives her leeway to learn without the same intense pressure her older sisters face. In this light, the unpainted upper lip is not just a restriction, it's a form of social honor. Another interpretation views it through the lens of delayed gratification. The right to paint the upper lip is an earned privilege, something to strive for. It imbues the final transformation into a geiko with immense symbolic weight. For years, you have looked at your own reflection and seen this mark of apprenticeship. The desire to finally complete your face becomes a powerful motivator, encouraging you to work hard at your lessons and to prove yourself worthy of promotion. You gaze at your reflection in the bronze mirror. The single red lower lip looks delicate, almost vulnerable. It's a constant, visible reminder of your journey. You are a work in progress, a masterpiece that is not yet finished. Every time you see a senior geisha like Kikoyo, with her perfectly painted full lips, you are reminded of your goal. The unpainted upper lip is a promise of the future, a silent vow you make to yourself every single morning. It is the mark of the student, and you wear it with a mixture of humility and quiet ambition. The final stroke over it is dry. The last wisp of powder has been dusted away. You put down your brushes, your hands now still. For a long moment, you simply gaze into the polished bronze mirror. The ritual is over. The transformation is complete, and the person looking back at you is a stranger. It's a profound and slightly disorienting moment that you experience every single day. The face in the mirror is you, and yet, it is not you at all. Your blonde, familiar skin is gone, replaced by a cool, perfect white. Your own eyebrows, which you might have tweezed or trimmed, have vanished, replaced by serene, painted arches. Your eyes, framed in black and red, look larger, deeper, and impossibly distant. Your mouth is no longer your mouth, but a tiny, perfect red bud. This is the face of Ichika, your professional name, Lord Hime. It is not the face of the girl who woke up in the cold a few hours ago. That girl is gone, hidden away for the rest of the day and night. Ichika is an artist, a performer, a living work of art. She is poised, graceful, and serene. She feels no fatigue, no anxiety, no girlish awkwardness. She is the mask. This daily encounter with a stranger in the mirror is a core part of your psychological reality. It creates a powerful separation between your public and private self. When you are wearing this face, you are on duty. You are performing. Insults from a difficult client might sting, but they are directed at Ichika, the beautiful doll, not at your true self who is safely hidden beneath the paint. This psychological distance is a crucial coping mechanism in a job that requires constant social performance and emotional control. The experience can be likened to an actor putting on a costume and makeup before stepping onto a stage. The transformation is not just physical, it's mental. The moment the mask is complete, your posture might straighten, your movements might become more deliberate and graceful. Your way of thinking might even shift into the persona you are about to inhabit. A fascinating and somewhat bittersweet little-known detail is what happens over many years of this routine. Some retired geisha have spoken about a strange sense of identity reversal. After decades of spending more waking hours as their geisha persona than as themselves, the painted face can begin to feel more real or normal than their own bare face. They might look at their unadorned reflection in the morning and feel like something is missing, that the face looking back is the stranger. The mask, through sheer repetition, becomes the primary identity. The academic debate here is rich, touching on theories of identity, performance, and sociology. Scholars like Irving Goffman, who developed the theory of dramaturgy, would see this as a perfect example of his ideas. He argued that all social interaction is a form of theatrical performance, where we manage our front stage and backstage selves. For geisha, this division is not just a metaphor. It's a literal, physical reality created with wax and paint. The okiya is the backstage, where you can be yourself. The tea house, the aze shiki, is the front stage, where the performance must be flawless. But other scholars question the long-term cost of such a rigid division. Does it lead to a feeling of alienation from one's own body and emotions? Does the need to constantly suppress your backstage self in a high-pressure environment lead to burnout or psychological distress? The life of a geisha is incredibly demanding, and the mask is both a tool of the trade and a heavy burden. You reach out and lightly touch your own cheek in the mirror's reflection. The surface feels smooth and cool, like porcelain. It doesn't feel like skin. You see Kikuyo's reflection behind you. She is not smiling, but her eyes show a quiet approval. You have successfully completed the ritual. You have created the illusion perfectly. You are ready. The face is done, but Ichika is not yet fully assembled. The mask is only one part of the elaborate construction. Now you must add the final, heavy layers of the costume, the hair and the silk. The journey from girl to living artwork is almost complete. The face is a silent, painted masterpiece. Now it needs its frame. You rise slowly from the kneeling position, your legs stiff from sitting for so long. The next stage of the transformation requires you to move to a different part of the room, where the most cumbersome and magnificent piece of the puzzle awaits, the wig. There's a Maiko, especially in the earlier stages of your career. You might have your own hair painstakingly styled into one of the traditional, elaborate Maiko hairstyles like the wear shinobu. This process, done by a highly skilled hairdresser, can take hours, and the style is designed to last for a week, which is why you must sleep on that special high pillow. but for many formal occasions, and for almost all senior geisha, a wig is the more practical option. And this is no ordinary wig. It is a kotsura, a masterpiece of craftsmanship in its own right. It's sitting before you on a wooden stand, looking less like hair and more like a piece of lacquered sculpture. It is made from real human hair, which has been meticulously washed, sorted, styled, and set with waxes and ribbons onto a custom-fitted copper base. It is incredibly heavy, easily weighing several pounds. Putting it on is a delicate operation. First, your own hair must be completely flattened against your scalp and contained under a habit-e, a thin, tight-fitting silk cap. This creates a smooth base for the wig to sit on and protects your real hair. Then, with the help of a dresser or your older sister, the kotsura is carefully lowered onto your head. The weight is immediate and immense. It presses down on your head and neck, a constant, physical pressure that you must learn to carry with effortless grace. The front of the wig is carefully aligned with the edge of your white makeup, creating the seamless transition from the painted forehead to the black hairline. Any gap or misalignment would shatter the illusion. The style of the wig itself is another layer of the visual language you wear. The most common style for a senior geisha is the takashimada, dosai, elegant chign on that signifies maturity and sophistication. There's a Maiko, your hairstyle, whether real or a wig, is more elaborate and adorned with a dazzling array of hair ornaments, or kanzashi. These kanzashi are not just pretty accessories. They are another crucial part of the code. For a first-year Maiko, the ornaments are particularly spectacular, featuring long, dangling strings of silk flowers, juder kanzashi, that sway delicately with every movement of your head. The type of flower depicted on your kanza, she changes every single month to reflect the season. Plum blossoms in February, cherry blossoms in April, wisteria in May, chrysanthemums in November. A connoisseur can tell the month of the year simply by looking at the flowers in your hair. It's a beautiful, poetic way of synchronizing your appearance with the natural world. A weirdly specific fact about the kotsura is the small, unstyled patch of hair that is often left at the back, which is then blended with the wearer's own hair by the hairdresser. Kabotsushi. This helps to create a more natural-looking hairline at the nape, further enhancing the beauty of the exposed ear as high. The wig is a marvel of engineering, designed to be both a perfect sculpture and to integrate seamlessly with the wearer's own body. The historical debate among scholars of fashion and theater revolves around the practicality versus the aesthetics of the wig. Did wigs become popular simply because styling real hair into such complex shapes was too time-consuming and damaging? Or was the shift towards the wig driven by a desire for a more perfect, more sculptural, and more unchanging look? The kotsura offers a level of perfection and consistency that real hair, with its flyaway-esque imperfections, can never achieve. It allows the geisha to become even more like a doll, her hair a permanent, lacquered helmet of beauty. You adjust to the weight on your head. You have to learn to move your head differently, more slowly and deliberately. A sudden turn could dislodge an ornament or, in a worst-case scenario, the entire wig. The weight is a constant teacher, forcing you into the graceful, measured movements that are the hallmark of your profession. With the wig in place, you look in the mirror again. The transformation is nearly absolute. The painted face and the sculptural hair work together to create a completely new silhouette. You are taller, more imposing, and your head is now crowned with a heavy, shining halo of tradition. You are a figure from a woodblock print, brought to life. The final step now is to dress this incredible creation in its proper attire. The final stage of the transformation requires the help of others. It is nearly impossible to dress yourself in the full regalia of a maker. The process, called katsukai, is an art form in itself, performed by a professional male dresser, an otakoshi, or by experienced women within the okiya. You stand still, arms held out slightly, and your body moves slowly, moving your head, your hair, your face, and your body. The wig is a symbolic, like a doll waiting to be dressed. The process begins with layers of undergarments, or hadajubian, made of soft cotton or silk, which protect the outer kimono from sweat and oils from your skin. Each layer is wrapped and tied with precision. Then comes the nagajubian, a long underkimono that is often as beautifully decorated as the outer one, though only its collar and sleeves might peek through. The color of the nagajubian is crucial. For a Maiko, it is typically red with intricate white or silver embroidery, a flush of vibrant color that will frame your white painted neck. Next is the main event, the kimono itself. As a Maiko, you wear a special type of kimono called a hikizori, or trailing skirt kimono. It is longer than a normal kimono, designed to trail elegantly on the floor indoors. The sleeves, all furry, are also incredibly long, almost reaching your ankles. They are a sign of your youth, as only unmarried young women wore these long-sleeved kimono. The kimono for a Maiko is a riot of color and pattern. It is bright, vibrant, and eye-catching, featuring bold designs of flowers, fans, or other auspicious symbols. This is in stark contrast to the more subdued and subtle kimonos worn by senior geisha, whose elegance is expressed through quiet colors and refined patterns. Your entire appearance is designed to scream youth. The dresser wraps the heavy silk kimono around you, adjusting that with a series of tucks and folds. There are no buttons, zippers, or snaps. The entire garment is held in place by a complex system of sashes and cords, or himel, tied in specific knots. You feel the layers wrapping around you, constricting your movement. The centerpiece of the entire outfit is the obi, the white, brocaded sash that is wrapped around your midsection. For a Maiko, the obi is particularly spectacular. It is a dara obi, or dangling obi, which can be over 20 feet long. It is folded and tied in an intricate knot at your back, with its two long ends hanging down, sometimes almost to the ground. The knot itself is a work of art, and the obi is often made of heavy, luxurious silk brocade with metallic threads. It is incredibly heavy and acts like a back brace, forcing you to maintain a straight, upright posture. A strange but true detail, the combined weight of the kimono, the obi, and all the under layers can be upwards of 40 pounds. Add the heavy kutsura wig, and you are carrying a significant amount of extra weight. The effortless grace of a Maiko as she walks or dances is a triumph of strength and endurance over physical burden. It's an athletic feat disguised as art. Scholars often debate the social implications of this restrictive clothing. Was the kimono, with its tight wrapping and constricting obi, a tool for controlling women's bodies and movements, enforcing a demure, restrained femininity? Or was it an artistic canvas, a way of transforming the human form into a living sculpture, where the lines and colors of the garment took precedence over the natural shape of the body beneath? In the world of the geisha, it is undoubtedly the latter. The body is not the focus. The body is the armature on which the art is displayed. The dresser gives a final tug to the obi jimmy, the decorative cord that holds the obi knot in place, and steps back. You are now fully encased in silk. You can't take deep breaths. You can't bend at the waist. Your steps will have to be small. Shuffling movements in your toe-wooden gete sandals. Every part of your being, from your painted face to your bound torso, has been reshaped and constrained by tradition. You look in the full-length mirror. Ichika is finally here. She is a complete vision, a breathtaking sculpture of paint, clear, and silk. The girl who woke up in the dark is now so deeply buried under layers of artifice that she is just a memory. You are no longer a person. You are a presence. And you are ready for the night. You are a finished masterpiece. Every detail, from the flowers in your hair to the dangling ends of your obi, is perfect. But this look was not designed for the harsh, even light of a modern bathroom or the bright glare of daylight. This entire creation, this living work of art, was designed for a very specific environment. The soft, flickering, and forgiving light of candles and paper lanterns. As you step out of the Okiya and into the evening, the world of joy is bathed in a warm, golden glow. Lanterns hang outside the tea houses, Ojaya, their light casting long, dancing shadows. The harsh realities of the world are softened, and the magic begins. It is in this environment that your makeup truly comes alive. The thick, stark white of the Oshiroi, which can look almost unnerving mask-like in direct light, takes on a soft, luminous quality in the candlelight. It glows, reflecting the warm light and making your face a beacon in the dim corridors of the tea house. The lead-based powder had a particular luminosity that modern, safer titanium dioxide can only approximate. Your face literally shines. The subtle reed accents around your eyes, which seemed so faint in the preparation room, now become more apparent. They give your eyes a depth and warmth that prevents the white from looking cold. The sharp black of your eyeliner stands out in dramatic contrast, making your gaze seem even more intense and focused. In the shifting, low light, your eyes seem to hold ancient secrets. This is the key historical context that is often missed when we look at photos of geisha makeup today. We are seeing it under photographic flashes or museum lighting, which is the most unflattering possible light for it. It was never meant to be seen that way. It was performance art for a pre-electric world. You were a walking, talking impressionist painting, designed to be viewed in a specific, atmospheric setting. A fascinating, technical little fact is that the makeup was essentially a low-light visibility tool. In a large, dimly lit banquet room, a patron at the far end of the room could easily spot you. Your glowing white face would stand out from the darker-clad servants and the more subtly made-up guests. It was a beacon that announced your presence and your status as the main event, the artistic centerpiece of the evening. You arrive at the tea house and are led into the Asaishiki, the banquet room. The air is warm, filled with the scent of delicious food, expensive sake, and the faint smell of burning lamp oil. The paper shoji screens diffuse the light into a soft, ambient glow. Dear, among the wealthy patrons in their dark, sober silk kimonos, you are a splash of brilliant color and light. The academic debate here focuses on the idea of the floating world. Yokio, as a fantasy space. The Yokio was the world of urban pleasure, of theaters, tea houses, and entertainment districts. It was designed to be an escape from the rigid rules and drab realities of everyday life. The geisha, with her otherworldly appearance, was the ultimate embodiment of this fantasy. Her makeup was meant to look real. It was meant to look like a dream. The combination of the makeup and the specific lighting of the tea house worked together to create and sustain this illusion, transporting both the geisha and her clients into a separate, more beautiful reality for a few hours. As you kneel to pour sake for a guest, the candlelight flickers across your face. The line of white powder on your nose catches the light, creating that subtle illusion of a more refined bone structure. The tiny flecks of sugar on your red lip might sparkle for a moment. Every element of the makeup is now doing its job, working in concert with the environment. You are not just a woman wearing makeup. You are a perfectly calibrated aesthetic object, designed to be appreciated in this specific context. The hours of painstaking preparation, the weight of the wig, the constriction of the kimono, it all makes sense now. In the candlelight, you are not just beautiful. You are magic. After hours of performance, of dancing, playing the shinsen, laughing delicately, and pouring endless cups of sake, the night finally winds down. You make your graceful bows and trail out of the tea house, back into the quiet, sleeping streets of Join. The weight of the wig feels heavier than ever, a dull ache settling into your neck and shoulders. Your feet, encased in the tight straps of your talo, Kyobio sandals, are sore. The mask of Ichika, which felt so powerful in the candlelight, now feels like a heavy, suffocating shield. You are exhausted. You return to the Okiya. The house is quiet again. You perform the final duties of the evening, perhaps helping your older sister with her own costume. And then, at long last, it is time for sleep. But even this simple, biological need is governed by the demands of your profession. You cannot simply fall into a soft futon and drift off. Your hairstyle, whether it's your own hair sculpted into a wear shinobu or a valuable wig that needs to be preserved, is too precious. To protect it, you must sleep on a takameterka, or high pillow. This object is less a pillow and more a small, lacquered wooden stand. It has a curved, padded cushion on top, often filled with buckwheat holes, where you are supposed to rest the nape of your neck. Your head and hair are held completely aloft, never touching the floor. It looks elegant, but the reality is that it's incredibly uncomfortable and difficult to get used to. You arrange your futon and place the takamakuka at its head. You lie down carefully on your back, positioning your neck onto the small, hard cradle. The sensation is bizarre. Your head feels unsupported, floating in the air. You can't turn onto your side or your stomach. You must remain relatively still all night long. This is one of the most famously difficult aspects of a Maiko's training. For new apprentices, sleep becomes a challenge, to ensure they don't roll over in the night and ruin their expensive hairstyle. The mother of the Okiya might have the maids spread sticky rice or rice bran on the floor around the takamakuka. If the girl's head slips off the pillow, she will wake up with a mess of grains stuck in her waxed hair, a powerful and unpleasant incentive to learn to sleep still. It's a bit of harsh, practical magic to enforce discipline even in unconsciousness. This strange sleeping device is a historical artifact that speaks volumes about the priorities of this world. Comfort is secondary to the preservation of the aesthetic. Your body's natural need for restful sleep is subservient to the need to maintain the perfect hairstyle, which can take hours and a great deal of money to create. Historians and sociologists who study the body often point to the takamakuka as a prime example of how a profession can physically discipline and reshape the body's most basic habits. It's a tool of control. By learning to sleep on the takamakuka, you are training your body to be constantly aware of its purpose, even in sleep. There is no off-duty time. Your body is always, in some way, in service to the art. The academic debate around the takamakuka is less about its purpose, which is clear, and more about its long-term effects. Did chronic sleep deprivation or poor sleep quality contribute to the health problems often faced by women in this profession? How did this nightly discomfort affect their mental and emotional well-being? While historical records don't offer clear answers, it's easy to imagine that the constant, low-level exhaustion would have been an immense, unspoken burden. You lie in the dark, your neck cradled on the hard perch. You try to find a position that isn't actively painful. You can hear the soft breathing of the other girls in the room. You close your eyes, trying to will your body into stillness. Sleep, when it comes, will not be a deep, restorative dive into oblivion. It will be a shallow, watchful state, a tightrope walk between exhaustion and the constant, nagging awareness of the precious, heavy sculpture of air you carry on your head. Even in your dreams, you are never truly free from the weight of your beauty. The first pale light of dawn filters through the shoji screens, just as it did yesterday morning. It feels like a lifetime ago. The ache in your neck from the takamakuka is a dull, familiar throb. It is time to undo the magic, to peel away the layers of artifice and find the girl you left behind. The process of removing the makeup is its own ritual, just as deliberate as its application, but with a sense of relief instead of anticipation. You return to the same spot where you began, in front of the bronze mirror. The face that looks back at you is a slightly degraded version of the masterpiece from last night. The white is a little cracked around your mouth from smiling and talking, and the red of your lip is slightly faded. It looks like a beautiful painting that has been left out in the rain. The first thing to go is the wig. You carefully lift the heavy katsura from your head and place it back on its stand. The relief is immediate and immense, a physical unburdening that makes you feel lightheaded. You remove the silk hub at a cap, allowing your own flattened hair and scalp to breathe. Now, for the face. You cannot simply use soap and water. The combination of oil-based wax and lead-based paint is stubborn and waterproof. It requires a special solvent. You take a bottle of a specific cleansing oil, often a camellia oil or a similar unscented vegetable oil. This is the secret to breaking down the mask. You pour a generous amount of the oil into your hands and begin to massage it all over your face, neck, and chest. You work it in gently, in slow, circular motions. The pristine white foundation begins to dissolve, streaking and mixing with the black and red pigments. The face in the mirror transforms from a perfect doll into a terrifying, smeared clown. The white, black, and red run together into a grayish, pinkish mess. It's the complete opposite of the beautiful image you so carefully constructed. After the oil has dissolved the makeup, you take a piece of soft paper or a cloth and begin to wipe away the slurry. It comes off in thick, greasy streaks, revealing patches of your own worn, tired skin underneath. It takes several passes to get most of it off. Then, you take a small cloth, dip it in steaming hot water, wring it out, and press it against your face. The heat and steam help to open your pores and remove the last vestiges of the oil and pigment. The feeling is incredible, a wave of warmth and release. Your skin, which has been suffocated under layers of wax and paint for nearly 24 hours, can finally breathe. It's a sensory rebuff. This two-step cleansing method, all followed by a hot cloth or soap, is a traditional Japanese technique that has seen a massive resurgence in the modern beauty world. It's often marketed as a gentle yet effective way to remove heavy makeup and sunscreen. It's a funny little historical echo, this ancient, practical solution from the Geisha's dressing table finding its way into 21st century skincare routines. The historical debate here is a practical one. How effective was this cleansing method, really? While the oil was good at dissolving the makeup, did it truly remove all of the toxic lip particles? Modern science would suggest probably not. It's likely that a certain amount of residue remained trapped in the pores or on the skin's surface, contributing to the long-term absorption of lead and the chronic skin problems that many geisha suffered from. The ritual of cleansing may have provided a feeling of being clean, but it couldn't fully negate the chemical reality of what was being put on the skin. You wipe away the last of the gray residue. You splash your face with cool water from the basin. You look up into the mirror, and there she is, the girl from yesterday morning. Her skin is flushed from the hot cloth, and there are dark circles under her eyes from a lack of deep sleep. She looks pale and young, after the powerful, impersonal beauty of Ichika. Her face looks plain, vulnerable, and incredibly human. The mask is gone. The ritual is complete, having come full circle. You have returned to yourself, but the day is just beginning. Soon there will be lessons, chores, and then, in the afternoon, the entire process will start all over again. The brief return to yourself is just an intermission before the curtain rises once more. You lean in closer to the mirror, examining the face that has re-emerged. This is the moment of quiet accounting, the part of the ritual no patron ever sees. You look at your own skin, now clean and bare in the morning light, and you can see the toll. Around your hairline, you notice tiny bumps, a persistent acne caused by the heavy wax and powder clogging your pores. Your skin, which should be at its youthful peak, often has a sallow, grayish undertone, a telltale sign of long-term exposure to the lead in your Oshiroi. You've seen it on the older geisha, a permanent discoloration that even the thickest makeup can't entirely hide. It's the signature of your trade, etched directly onto your body. This is the unspoken truth of the geisha's beauty. It comes at a significant physical cost. The pursuit of the perfect, artificial face slowly but surely damages the real one underneath. It's a paradox you live with every day. To be successful as Ichika, you must slowly poison the girl in the mirror. The list of potential ailments was long. Beyond the dermatological issues, there were the chronic aches from the heavy wigs and restrictive kimonos. There were the digestive problems and nerve pains that we now recognize as classic symptoms of lead poisoning. In an era before modern medicine could draw a clear line between cause and effect, these were just the mysterious occupational hazards of being a geisha, endured with a stoic sense of duty. Poor Gamen. You trace the faint line of your own eyebrow, feeling the real hairs that were blasted into oblivion just hours ago. You think of the heavy weight of the wig, the constriction of the OBI, the uncomfortable perch of the takamikaka. Every part of the beautiful illusion has its corresponding discomfort. Its price. This is where the romanticized image of the geisha clashes with historical reality. We see the final, perfect product, the graceful figure in silk, a living masterpiece. We don't see the tedious hours of application, the physical discomfort of the costume, the dangerous chemicals, or the exhaustion. The art of the geisha is not just the performance in the tea house. It is the art of gracefully concealing this immense, daily effort. Her ultimate skill is to make it all look effortless. A strange but poignant detail is the fierce pride many geisha took in their professionalism, despite the costs. To them, enduring the hardship was a mark of their dedication to their art. To complain was to be an amateur. This stoicism is a key part of the geisha identity. The ability to withstand the discomfort, to transform pain into beauty, was part of the discipline in the art itself. The enduring academic debate circles this very point. Was this a life of artistic empowerment or one of exploitation? For every argument that the geisha was a rare example of an independent, economically self-sufficient woman in a patriarchal society, there is a counter-argument that she was bound by debt to her ogi and that her body was subjected to punishing and unhealthy aesthetic demands. The truth, as is often the case, is not as simple either-or. It was a complex existence that was simultaneously empowering and restrictive, artistic and arduous. It was a life of profound contradictions. You sigh, splashing your face one last time with cold water. You have paid the price for last night's beauty, and you will pay it again this afternoon. It is the cost of your art, the cost of your independence, the cost of being Ichika. You stand up, leaving the reflection behind. The ritual is over. You are you again. For a few precious hours, you walk away from the mirror, back into the life of the okiya, carrying the invisible weight of your beautiful, demanding profession. The day has begun, and the cycle of transformation is waiting to start all over again. And so, the long day ends, and a new one begins. The cycle is relentless, a continuous stirring of the wheel from woman to artwork, then back to woman again. As you drift now, deeper into your own comfortable rest, imagine that quiet, treed-on room. Imagine the cool touch of the porcelain pots, the soft scrape of the brush, the immense, patient effort required to create a fleeting moment of perfect beauty. Let the rhythmic, meditative nature of that ritual guide your own breathing. Let the memory of the soft, flickering candlelight warm your thoughts. The heavy weight of the wig is gone. The tight constriction of the OBI has been released. There is no hard wooden pillow at your neck, only your own soft one, welcoming you into deep and truly restful sleep. The face in the mirror is gone. The performance is over. All that is left is the quiet stillness of the night, the gentle hum of the world outside your window. There are no more demands, no more rituals to perform. There is only this moment, this peace, this slow descent into the soft, weightless world of your dreams. Allow yourself to float there, unburdened and at ease, into the deep and silent peace you deserve.